Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smith, this is Smith the Black with the Weekend Vid, and we're coming into the end of the year, and we had the CPI and the Fed come out, so what we can do, a lot of things looking like the future, so we're going to play it day by day because we got some conflict with some macro stuff that we'll be getting into at the end of the year, end of the month, all this kind of stuff. So here you can see this CPI, slight higher high, kiss of death, boom. Now you expand it. So now you're here into this broadening formation. So do we come on Monday and try and recover or expand it? Because if we go to the weekly, you'll see this big outside week. So anytime you have a 3, that's a broadening formation, which I just showed you on a shorter time frame. So the question is, can you start marching through here? And if you do you stay inside week? Because you got a big distance to carry, even if you do start going up. And then you've got 2 short weeks due to Christmas and New Year's, which gives us a higher probability of inside weeks because there's only 4 days in the weeks. So we want to see how that plays out. But if we start taking this out to the downside, then potential 3-monther. Right, we're trying to get out of this. We've been watching this one for a while. That's probably going to come into the beginning of the year. Can we take that out or that out? And do we stay out coming into the new year? So it's a lot of things are looking like the futures now that we had that news come out. Qs here obviously weaker. You got that slight higher high, but now potential outside month. Let's go to the daily. You're going to see this. Your higher high. Your lower low, your gap down here. Do we keep puking? What are we going to do here? So once again, if you go to the weekly, the outside week. And so I can't stress this enough that we're either going to be looking for an inside week, a 3-2. Do you stay down? What do you do? If we go to Apple, and Apple, not strong enough to be an outside week, couldn't take out those highs. And so if you look at the month, coming into all these guys, and I know there's going to be a bunch of people be like, it's support. Well, it is until it isn't. And so we'll see if we can take this out and then stay down. Because here when you have that range, the attempt up and then boom, here. So Apple's still in trouble. If you go to the daily here, you can see not strong enough to take that high out and still down into here. Like I'll say, exhaustion risk, anytime we keep going into new lows, we prefer to have some reversals, which we don't have, but we do have is weakness going out near the lows and then being able to gauge these weeklies as we go forward. If we go to the small cappers also weren't strong enough to take this out. And if you go to the weekly, here, wasn't strong enough to take that high out. And coming back through all here, if you go to the monthly, here, two down. And RevStrat here below this. Inside month, didn't take out the highs. The lows here, 174.11. That's going to get my attention because that's RevStrat monther if they want to start taking all these guys down. If we go to the bonds, TLT. TLT still goes 212 on the month. And then if you go to the week, inside week, so the bond's still trying to recover off that monthly. A little bit of a chop shop on the daily range in here. So be aware of that, but you do have that 212 reversal month to the upside. If we go to the Dow Jones Diamonds, and the Dow Jones Diamonds also potential a 3-monther, and we've known about this broadening formation on the weekly. Now an outside week, and if we take this out, remember, here, tried to take it up, and then boom, 3-er. So potential a lot of 3-2s to the downside, but that's what we're going to be paying attention to. Anytime you're dealing with a 3, though, you got to make sure that it stays below this stuff. Otherwise, you have your broadening formation, they can just crank them right back up. So we'll be aware of all that. I'm not going to go into too much detail today because of all these outside weeks, a lot of things are starting to look like the futures. And so if we go inside week, that would give us a lot of evidence going into the following week, coming out into Christmas, because you'd have a lot of inside weeks, which would give us the 3-1-2ers, or do we all go 3-2 and keep dumping? So we'll see. Energy's been our bread and butter all year, and now you got XLE inside week, and a lot of these things on the monthly are new highs, then 2 down. Right, so that's conflicting with the macro, but we're coming into the exhaustion of the macro. There's only 2 weeks left, or 2-3 weeks here, 2 weeks, and so we want to look at all this macro stuff. The macro has been a monster if you know how to use it, and it's been that RevStrat here at the beginning of the year took off, and then triangled them out on the big 3, all that kind of stuff, and now 2-2 for potential profit taking coming into the end of the year. So a lot of those things coming down on the monthlies. Devon here, you got PXD. They're all looking pretty similar. Here, there's an inside month to the downside. So if we go to crude, here, crude, UCO on the week, and inside week. So we'll see how that goes. Coming into here, bring them up a little bit, bring them down. You know, what's going to go on there, but we'll stay on them the way we always do. If you go to the retail, like Walmart, here, Walmart, and it's Christmas time. But Walmart, still an inside month, but you can see this broadening formation we'll be looking at the new year. Target here, trying to go 2 down on the month here. 6 months of sideways. So the question is, you get the measured move down, sideways measured move. Do you have a happy Christmas? Well, we're going to find out. Costco here, also been going sideways forever. It is a 2 down on the month, so we'll respect that. But all this sideways stuff, and you know, as I've tweeted out before, is like, depending on how we close this year out, there's a lot of things that go inside year, and that could be a real problem coming into the new year. So we're not going to waste too much time. We're going to stay on the futures and all that kind of stuff. If we go to the XLK, here also potential a 3-monther. If you go to the SMH, here also a potential a 3-monther, and there's a lot of distance down here. So a lot of people think, well, you know, I'm just chasing the downside. I'm like, well, maybe. But if we get these 3 2s kicking in, that's something I'd want to know about, because you have that outside week once again after 3 weeks of sideways. How does this SMH get out of here? So if we go to MetaBuddy, and MetaBuddy, a lot of sideways in there. The best thing you can say here is that it is countering that macro puker 2-2 reversal on the year. Doji on the month, but it is working that 2 down, 2 up if they start to recover a little bit. Amazon, still in trouble. And all this macro stuff been in trouble. Still an inside month, but you can see this gunning towards the lows. If you go to the weekly, another outside week to keep an eye on. If you go to Netflix, and Netflix, another outside week. Go to the daily. Here was this. Chop them up, stop them out, and then boom, gap down and puke, inside day. See if we can come after all this stuff. And if we go to that monthly again, here, set up the shooter counters hammer to start up the new year. Now, we still got a few weeks on that, but we'll see. Google, here, also potential an outside month, coming back to the downside. So we want to keep an eye on all that stuff. And we'll go to Tesla's. And Tesla's having a real rough one. A real rough one, going out near the lows here. And if you go to the weekly, not strong enough to be an outside week, just goes out on the lows. But anytime you go out on the lows, you know, everything's going to look bad. But like I said, once we had this news break with the CPI and the Fed, a lot of things are looking a lot like the futures. So either the futures continue to dominate and continue to take this 3-2, and everything goes 2 down on the week and potential 3 on the monther, we'll stay on that. You know, if we start to break higher, we want to see anybody that can take out last week's highs, anybody last month's highs, stuff like that. But we're going to let them open, because you got a big range. Even if you start to rally back to get out of last week's range, if you start tanking, what we'll be doing is, you've seen me teach the scanning. Anything, how many things are taking out last week's lows is what I want to know out right to shoot. And we'll get to that Strat Attack show on Tuesday, and a full week this week, 2 power hours, final 2 power hours. So you might want to join us for that. And then 2 shortened weeks, as I said earlier, potentially sets up a lot of inside weeks, because you only have 4 days. But let's let them play out. When they all look like the futures, you know, when the futures are dominating like they are now, after this news, we're going to wait until the futures mellow out, or continue to go with them to see, you know, who's going to challenge it, or is everybody going to tank? All right, it's going to do it for this week. I'm Rob Smith, Mr. Black, the Weekend Vid.